Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 243 of Fans of Power. I'm Joe Amato, and I'm here with my partner in crime, Nasty Nate, Nathan Kennedy, and Tyler is on his way. He's not going to not be on the show. He said, what did you say?
He said
Nathan?
He would be either a tad bit late or he wouldn't be at all, and I guess he's going to be a tad bit late. So I'll wait for him to shoot me a text, and I can let him in here. And I'll have to toggle some audio until then and enjoy this nice static image of Tyler wearing one of his favorite Masters of the Universe t-shirts. It's the one that says "Call." That is his favorite.
Yeah, that is his favorite
because these puppies are sick. So he
loves that
it looks
shirt.
like
I don't even know
a
if they make
beach
it
trip
anymore.
was going on when this photo was taken. He's got sunglasses on, nice little blue sky going on behind him. So yeah, wearing his favorite shirt.
Crap. There you go. He'll love to see that when he comes up. But, well, in the meantime, let me quickly address everybody that's here in the chat room. We have Zentron, Jeff Prime, Grimbot, Aaron Anderson. He said he wanted to finally make it. You made it. Thanks for popping up here, Aaron. Michael Purvis, DJ Tags, Curtis Ackerman, Gavin the Nerd. I forgot to click the thing, Nathan, and you could tell I'm doing it. Darth Baca, Adam Gabbert, Zen Brown, and I think I got and Fedmon, I think, just popped up. Oh, yeah, and I got everybody. I think I did. If I missed anybody, sorry about that. I was going to try to grab something. I was trying to show something here, but my camera, for some reason, wasn't picking it up. I've been trying to sneak things in the background to just show of things that I've had done or was sending out or something, and somebody that was in the chat room might have got a kick out of that, but I don't know if it's going to show up. I'm going to wait to see because I moved my camera over, and I'm looking at my 30-second delay to see. And what's up, Eric Amon? He just popped up, too. I'm looking at my 30-second delay. Hold on, I want to see if it shows up. And it still fucking didn't show up. Unreal.
Well, just go grab it or something.
Hold on. I don't want to drop everything, though, because knowing my fucking luck. Hold on a second. Let me hold on. Don't want to drop shit. Sorry, look at my beautiful ceiling. All right, it's okay. It's going to be at a distance because I like doing teasing, so I'm not going to show this thing up close, but it's a female cosmic enforcer.
Oh, there you go.
This one's going to be different. It'll be unique. I'll try to show the full pictures tomorrow, but there was just a sneak peek that was going to be shipping out tomorrow. See, not even showing it in the full. You'll have to catch that whole thing on my Facebook page or on the customs and stuff. So there you go. How about that for a teaser? And let's see if that guy responds in a second who sees that before I drop everything. That's it. God, I barely yeah, there it showed up pretty good. Okay, there was a teaser. I'm back. What's up, Nathan? How you doing? I'm rambling.
I'm doing okay. I'm just... Well, one, waiting on Tyler, and now I'm just, cautious, because I don't know if you're going to tip everything over and jump out of the call, and then we'll have to bring you back in, too, and I'll have to sit here and cover all of this dead air by myself. That's always
it's all set. It's all good. But what sucks, real quick, before we get to talking about some of the Masters of the Universe stuff, and I'll even talk about this for a second, I got a $1 scratch-off today, so I won $10 on it. Got me excited. I went to go get Popeye's chicken. And then well, check this out, because this really sucks, and I want to know if people in the area, of course, they probably don't do it like I do, but I want to see if they could test this out tomorrow. I went to get my 7-piece. They said they no longer do the 7-piece dark.
Oh, no.
No more man,
Oh, no.
Well, but it's a good deal. You get 7 pieces for $5.99. I was like, you mean just temporarily? They said, no, it's just gone. So I don't know if it's just that location. So I just got a chicken sandwich in place of it because I said, what do you have in place of that? And they said, we have a 12-piece for $12.99, which is mixed with all them wings and
but I only
fries.
have $10.
That's what I mean. Exactly. That's like I couldn't afford it anyways, but I was excited. I thought I was going to get chicken. Then I ended up getting the sandwiches, and that sucked. Before I ramble about this, I know a lot of people have been getting Wave 2 of the Masters of the Universe Origins, and I think most of them were ordered. I'm not sure if they're in stores. I think some people maybe said they sent them in stores. Did you see, or maybe even people can confirm that? But I think maybe they're hitting the stores as well.
I thought the vast majority were online orders, but I wouldn't know if they'd pop up in stores anyway, because I actually went to the local Walmart that I talked about last week that had a restock, and most of those figures are still there, like Tila and Evil Lyn and Man at Arms. So I'm like, did these people, is that already done? Everyone that needed one in this area has bought one, and they're done? So I don't know. But
I hope they get out.
No, I do want to throw out there, if you guys come across Wave 2, I'm not really concerned about everybody in it, but a Scareglow would be nice. If there's an extra one, you get one for yourself first. But if there happens to be another one on the peg, pick it up. Or just shoot me a message while you're standing there. Because a handful of you guys, like, we chat on Facebook every now and again. So if you guys come across that, hit me. I know Purvis will come through if he finds any. But yeah, you guys get an extra Scareglow, just hit me up. And if by that point I've already had one, then you can go on eBay and sell it for $55.
Well, that's the thing, and I'm hoping no more Wave 1 comes when Wave 2 shows up officially in the stores, because this is going to show definitely how the sales of it are going to continue to hopefully get better and better, because Scareglow first, I mean, people are army building and buying tons of them. They love that glow feature, and people are really loving Orko. Orko does look really good. Trapjaw looks pretty good. And then Manny Faces, I mean, he's cool, but I didn't see people really going too bananas over him, but this is what we need to see. Will the secondary characters keep selling? Because they're flooding with too many He-Man and Skeletors. In my area, finally, some more of those are shifting out. And that's not including with me using them for customs. They're finally starting to sell more of them. But the big surprise for me, I would love to know sales numbers on the WWE Masters figures. Because those things, I mean, they wipe out quickly. And every time they show a new wave, it's like people are going nuts. But even the crappy John Cena's that at one time were just sitting at the stores, those are gone. I don't see any more of the WWE ones. Those sell super fast, and I think that's a positive sign of definitely for them reusing molds or doing other things. It's a hot selling line. I don't know what it's like in your area, but those WWE ones are gone all the time now.
The first wave I saw a few times. The second wave's the one with Faker, Cena, and Macho Man and Roman Reigns, right?
I believe.
Wave 3's Undertaker, New Day. The Rock, and Braun Strowman,
and Braun Strowman, and I can't find any of those. And they already said that now they got the one with Mr. T and
Jake the Snake.
And the rest of them are like, damn, I can't get any of these. Yeah, and Jake the Snake, and then they're showing the next wave that's going to have Roddy Piper and have Becky Lynch and whoever the hell else. Was like, man, they're just as quick as they sell out. It's like, here's another wave and another wave, and they all look great, but I can't find them. I can't get any of those WWE ones.
I've only seen the New Day Manny Faces figure once. I haven't seen it again. It's kind of like you. It's mostly Faker Cena's and Roman Reigns that I see when I do see them. That's all. So I think the Walmart I went to today had a Macho Man. I'm like, looks great, but I would just take the armor off of him and just have a Macho Man figure. But it almost seems like they care more about that line than they do the Origins line, which, whatever.
It definitely seems like they get a little more originality. I don't know, or maybe they could play with it. Maybe they have a little more artistic freedom to do different things, possibly. I don't know. But you are getting different things, and it looks like, I'm assuming they're, reusing the parts from the Classics line, like when it came to the things like with the Terror Claw stuff, and I'm certain that the Dragon Blaster Dragon for Ricky the Dragon, I doubt that's going to be a working feature. That'll probably
did look kind of cool, even though
it does.
Me personally, I hated it when Steamboat was in the WWF. I always preferred NWA Steamboat. Well, maybe like WrestleMania 3 Steamboat, that era. But when he came back, and that's when they just strapped him with the dragon gimmick, and he's like breathing fire. I'm like, that's too much.
But he had a hell of a match with Macho Man, didn't he? Or wasn't that one of his most iconic?
But that was like pre them, like actually trying to like make him a dragon,
gimmick him up or something.
Coming out and breathing fire and all that corny shit that they had him do.
It works great for an action figure, though.
I think in action figure form, it's really awesome. I like Jake the Snake. I like what they've done with the Masters WWE line, but it's not something I go out of my way to. It seems like every wave I'm like, oh well, that one looks cool. Like I don't need The Rock or Braun Strowman. Like if I were to get one out of that wave, well. From that wave, it would have been two. I would have done the Undertaker Scareglow because that actually did look all right to me. And then the New Day Manny Faces. But, like, I like the New Day, but I'm like, I don't need that figure. no use for it.
Yeah, that one looks cool, and Scareglow is the one I wanted. I mean, heck, another one if they were ever... Because it seems like they sometimes will reuse even the same gimmicks, but then switch it off to another person, because if they were ever to do another Manny Faces one, I think perfectly the three faces of Foley would be perfect. To have, Mankind, Cactus Jack, Dude Love. I think that could actually be kind of cool if they do something like that. But the one that I didn't really flip over was Becky Lynch as the Goddess, because in WWE, Alexa Bliss is called the Goddess. It's I thought she would have been a perfect, fit for that, because Becky Lynch is holding the man shield. I was but you're the goddess and the man.
I don't know.
I don't know. But I know she's the hot female. I can understand.
But yeah, but she's not even on TV right now and won't be for the foreseeable
future.
No,
I mean, not right now, but wasn't she I just think because she was probably in development at that time. Yeah. Maybe that's why they did it.
I could see Alexa Bliss being do Evil Lynn scheme, just the way her attire, and especially now with, I guess she's teamed up with The Fiend. I don't know. I haven't really been keeping up with wrestling as much.
It is a cool gimmick either way. I'll just say for a couple people in the chat room, Aaron Anderson mentioned that he's seen an overstock of Skeletors in his area, but otherwise minimal wave one. Curtis Ackerman bought a Skeletor for his nephew. So, there's people that are still seeing some. I guess it just did, wait, well, let me see. Fedmon said, also saw a stock palette, but not yet put out, was wave 2 of the MCX Masters Universe singles, also known as Fisto. What the heck are the MCX? Are those? Oh, are those the Mega Constructs? Okay, I just caught that. Those are the one things I wasn't collecting. But let me ramble real quick about one thing. This is oh dear God, Double Trouble. This is the comic that came with Orko and Wave 2.
Okay. I haven't seen anything about the comic that comes with all the Wave 2 figures, which I'm sorry, that is still a terrible idea. They should have at least maybe had 2 comics and split it between, or something, anything. Just everybody gets the same.
You know why I say that?
Really sucks.
I'll tell you why. You're like I said, it's true. They should have gave more. I know that they said, okay, they only have enough to make 6 pages for each comic for each wave, but it'll create a story. But at this rate, this is just a hot garbage. I'll get to it in a second. But I enjoy actually the stuff that would come with the WWE figures more, because at least with those, you're getting a unique piece of art. It has maybe a 1 or 2 page quick story, but each character is getting a unique thing. It's not like every one in wave 1 or 2 or 3 of the WWE Masters figures are all getting the same thing. They get their unique piece of art, a quick little thing of maybe just kind of their story.
And it all ties in together, Masters, too. They make...
Yeah, it's okay, you guys are tying that more together and giving unique pieces, but we have to get overstocks of tons of these to tie in 6 pages of crap each time. I'll tell you what, if I was somebody that was actually in charge of the Masters property, if I had one more person write Mia in a fucking mini-comic, I'd fire them. But of course, it happened again. But of course, they're probably the ones that think it's a good idea. See, this is why it pisses me off. We got to create hashtag stop the Mia. I want to actually create this because I want it to fucking stop. These are you're in charge of a property that we just love a lot and we adore and we cherish, but you keep using this shitty thing that is a joke that came up at the time of the internet that's mocking Skeletor. Skeletor never, I'll say it again, in the history of the vintage comics, Star Marvels, Golden Books, the cartoon, never once said, I'm gonna get you, He-Man, Mia. That never fucking happened. Mia is a joke, but now you guys are putting it in here, and sure as shit, there's a page right here when Skeletor turns into Orko and is trying to be in disguise, and he sees He-Man, and what the hell does he say right there? He says, He-Man, Mia, I mean, what are you doing here? Like he's talking as Orko, but he says He-Man, then Mia. I'm like, Jesus Christ,
so we can see this. Because I haven't seen any of the scans from it.
Wait, where the hold on, I want to get the right fucking page. He-Man, Meow, son of a bitch. Okay, it's down here in this shit-tastic panel. Still my hand is, or if you can even see it. But it's in the under Orko floating.
You can kind of see it, sort of.
Yeah, it's kind of blurry, but he does say like He-Man and then Meow. Can you kind of see that there, or is that still blurry?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I can't take it. It just pisses me off. I hate that more than hearing MOTU pronounced out loud, because at least that I can understand. It's fans wanting to say it, and they don't want to say Masters of the Universe. They don't want to say He-Man. I love giving people shit about it and joke about it, but I can respect that. But this is just stupid because you're taking bullshit, fan funny mockery and now making it canon. It's like, stop, because what next? Is Kevin Smith going to think, hey, that's real? Let's have fucking Mark Hamill say it as Skeletor in the new cartoon.
Hey, give it. I wouldn't doubt it. Wouldn't doubt it at
Anything,
all.
it'll probably happen in that other He-Man cartoon, the one that's geared towards kids. Guaranteed, Skeletor will be saying that yuck line every fucking episode. But I just want it to stop. It's like, Jesus, you think you're supposed to be the passionate fans, and it's like a casual fan that I loved Masters growing up and all. I'm just gonna work on the brand now. I don't know what the fuck's going on. Let's do internet searches. Oh, this is meow. Let's put it in here. It's like, you guys should have better knowledge of it. And even how they treated, I'm not gonna show it. Next week we're gonna do it, but they even have Trapjaw and Scareglow as dipshits in this. I was like, Scareglow, a dipshit, and Trapjaw. Of course, they're gonna make him into a moron. That's why I can't wait till we discuss this Icons of Evil Trapjaw, because like, this is how he should be, or how he was as a villain when he was in the mini comic. Back in the day, right. Menace Trapjaw. But son of a bitch, it's like I couldn't take this. So yeah, had to do that. In case you guys haven't read it, this is hot garbage.
I'm sending Tyler a text. Just to see, because I haven't heard anything from him since 8/13 when he originally texted me. I was like, okay. So I don't know what's going on. He didn't specify other than that. So
well, hey, if anything, I mean, we could still discuss Gygor, because that's kind of, it's a character spotlight, but it's not like there's been much for him anyways. I mean, we could start with Gygor, and then I'm sure he'll pop up by the time we do the comic book for Icons of Evil. But if you want, we could still. That Grimbot is telling me to rip this on camera. I can't rip this on camera, because then I couldn't scan it. It's like, I couldn't take this and rip it on camera, because I couldn't scan this. Oh shit, I did it. There you go. It's kindling. Burn this. It's horse shit. My God, I'll be getting 30 of these fuckers when Wave 2 comes out anyway, so who cares? God forbid, what a piece of shit. Oh my God, thanks, Grimbot. That made me feel better. Oh, that was therapeutic. There we
go. No, Tyler did hit me up and said he'll be right there. He said, hang on. So he's... I didn't mean to call him. No. Okay, there. Hang up the phone.
Grimbot's happy, said Justice. No, I mean, this ain't worth it, man.
It's not. It would be if either each figure had a different comic. Like, even if it's just as light as those are, just a couple pages and that's it. But to just get the same comic with all of them, what's the point in having that many copies of that, you know?
Yeah, and that's why I had no second thoughts of even doing what I just did. I mean, really, that wasn't even playing you saying it, because obviously it was Grimbot saying it, but I know when Wave 2 comes, I'm going to be getting tons of these. Yeah. You should see the amounts of fucking Wave 1's comic I have, because I've made so many goddamn customs with those figures. There's stacks of them. So, yeah, it's not like, oh, God, I just ripped up something that's going to be worth $100 in 30 years. This ain't going to be worth anything. 30 years?
No, Joe, maybe 3 years, the way eBay prices are.
Yeah, well, nobody's going to want to buy this.
And that's the thing, too, that I feel bad for people that got Wave 1 or paid eBay prices for them, and now the market is just flooded with these things on the pegs right now. Yep. Like every Walmart, because there's 3 Walmarts that are basically within, I don't know, probably less than 30 miles. Like, I could go to all 3 of them in quick succession, probably be done, like, between traveling and everything, maybe a little over an hour. Each one of them has He-Man and Skeletor out the ass, and then a couple of them have, like, 1 or 2 of everybody else. I feel really bad for anyone that went on eBay and spent, like, $100 for a He-Man and a Skeletor just because they didn't want to wait a month until they were flooded at every Walmart in the country.
Yeah, I was waiting. Exactly, because you're right. They're not only going to be at Walmart, but starting in the beginning of 2021, they're going to be at Target and other stores, so you're going to have these everywhere. Mm-hmm. So even as much as, like I said, I've been wanting Scareglow badly, even if I don't find him at Walmart and they even hit Wave 3 and I still missed, I know it's going to pop up at Target. I know these things will be everywhere, and it's us. It's not like it's going to be getting the kids. I can't stress enough, until there's a cartoon that gets the attention of kids to even think about this, we're buying it. And then maybe for Christmas time, I see a little surge in sales there because obviously people are going up and down the aisles like, what am I going to get little fucking Johnny for fucking Christmas? And they're going to see it, hey, I remember He-Man, and they might buy it then. Or hell, people might even see it for themselves going back into a toy aisle after all these years and saying, what? He-Man's back? So that's a way of getting a little more. But yeah, don't go overpaying. I mean, hell, what's strange to me, though, I still have not seen a single Sky Sled with Prince Adam
I haven't either.
Anywhere.
No.
Yeah. I was like, and I don't know about the chat room. If you guys see him, I was like, where are these fuckers at? And I'm not oh, and that was the bullshit thing. Go to any of you guys if you want. You can split screen yourselves. Go to Walmart's website right now and type in Sky Sled for Masters of the Universe Origins. It's like over $100. I'm like, wait, what the fuck is that? Over $100.
That's probably not. That's probably not even directly sold. I'll look it up. That's probably not even directly sold by Walmart, though. That's probably just some third-party thing, I would imagine.
Oh, they do third-party shit on the Walmart website?
All the time. Let's see.
Oh, see, because I don't order. Well, I was just curious to look to see if it was there, but I didn't know that it was third-party things.
Well,
see, that's stuff that confuses
me.
Me.
Find it on here.
Really?
Let me do that.
I'm trying to remember how I typed
it. I don't know if I just typed Prince Adam as well, and nothing's coming up.
It could still be one of those old weird dead links, because right now I'm looking at the screen. It says Masters of the Universe Origin Sky Sled, $112.20. Only 5 left, but I don't. Yeah, you're right. Again, I don't know if this is a third-party thing. Here, I can try to show you on my shitty. Can you see anything on my computer or no?
Yeah, you can see it.
Okay. Yeah. So I don't know if that's a third-party thing or what. Wait, Tyler just popped up.
I'm here, guys. I'm sorry for the delay.
Oh, okay.
Wait, that's cool as hell. How is his background doing that? Where it looks like
he probably did something.
That's cool as shit.
Something in his settings, maybe. It's like blurry.
No,
I like that.
Touched anything.
I mean, it just looks so superimposed. It looks cool. Like Tyler, we see you crystal clear, but the background with all your figures are blurry as shit. But it looks cool. I can't explain it. It's weird.
I guess it's just kind of emphasizing my aura presence on this podcast.
What if I? No, I can't do anything. I don't know. Yeah.
What's up?
I think that's on Tyler's end. I can't change that.
Well, can you guys still at least see me and hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, fuck it then.
Yeah, I think it looks cool, Nathan. Myself, I don't know. It's kind of weird.
I wouldn't say it looks cool.
To me, it looks cool. I'm easily amused. Well, but not when it came to this. Tyler missed a moment you have to catch later. I ripped up this fucking Double Trouble comic all on a whim. What a horrible fucking comic. That was the one that came with Orko and Scareglow, and dear God, was that a hot pile of mess.
Oh, God. So I hadn't even thought about that. Like, the new mini comics. Oh, God. Yeah, don't. I'm not.
Don't even worry. Yeah, won't even have to worry about it. But yeah, we were just doing some rambling, some miscellaneous stuff. So once you're set, once Nathan's set with everything, we could jump into a Gygor discussion.
All right, I'm going to grab some water real quick while Nathan...
I'm going to go ahead and switch over the audio channels between the two of you. There we go.
Okay, just going to get my bottle of water. Try to do a sip here under my mask. 1 second.
I gotta see if I can... Because... Let's see if that doesn't, Why is it doing that? He had to have done that on his end.
I haven't touched anything on my settings, though. This thing has not been messed with at all other than just watching YouTube.
That's really weird.
What's Grimbot said, Tyler's room is filled with smug. That's what's great.
I like that. I will embrace that, I was trying to crush it on my head and I completely fucked that up.
Oh, shit.
Give me that smug if I can't crush a plastic water bottle against my head like John Belushi did in Animal House, so.
It's bad. I loved watching him eat. Oh, when he was eating in that cafeteria, my God, I love that. But I have a problem with eating, so.
My favorite moment is when he just takes that jar of mustard, looks at it, and then dumps it on his chest, and it's like the most random scene in the movie. I can picture Joe doing that, though, but then he kind of finds some sort of erotic, By the way, I picture Joe could, in like another movie Joe could be in, he could be the villain in Die Hard. Except that after money, he's after the Popeyes catering truck.
Anything, yeah. We won't talk about the story I mentioned about Popeyes earlier. You can catch that on the rerun. But
I'm not interested in your stories about food, Joe.
Exactly. I know. I am. But well, anyways, Nathan, when you're set, why don't you hit us up? We start Gygor, and heck, Nathan, you could even give your first impressions or questions about him, since
Well, I mean, there's
probably know
nothing
the
for me
least.
to throw it to. I didn't set up any sort of fancy ass graphic for Gygor or nothing. that was that. I only did the stuff for the comic this week, but no, Gygor. The whole reason this conversation came about is because after we were done with the show last week, I was talking to Tyler about other classics that I wanted to go ahead and get, and two of those on my list were Gygor and Shadow Beast, just because, I mean, in terms of classics prices on eBay, it's not horrible given the how big they are and the scale that you get them in. But I did a little bit of research on my own. There's not a lot about this character. It's just there were plans for it to be in the vintage line. We know that they reused a lot of accessories, and you guys think of Battle Cat, like that all came from the Big Jim toy line, which they also repurposed from the Tarzan line that Mattel put out. So Gygor was one of the apes that they had in the Big Jim line, and I guess early on in the planning stages, right around the time that the line was introduced, is when this idea came about of repurposing this ape as Gygor. So I've seen the prototype. I've seen also like the sketch that they did where Gygor could have been used, which I think's honestly kind of a cool idea, of having the pack on the back with like guns coming out and you could put a figure in behind him. I think that seems kind of cool as well. But the story behind this character in itself only came to light because it was in the book. What's the title of it? Massive Universe. It's sort of like the rise and fall of $1 billion idea.
What a lousy book that is. Like that book only gave you so many insights. It was just more or less just bitching and complaining, and
From one person's perspective, basically, too.
yeah, and to the point where Roger's like some of the stuff, like he couldn't remember some of the things, and it just come off as a book of complaining. Like,
when did this book come out?
God, it was like the early 2000s, I think.
So I'm assuming you both kind of heard about this through the book around the same time. That's like, oh, hey, this character was planned. So I guess what were your initial impressions about finding this out, or the first time you saw like the prototype picture? Is that something that you would have loved to have seen? Because we later got it in the Classics line in 2010. That
I would have embraced anything. I mean, anything that they would have made back then, of course, I would have embraced. And when it came out for Classic, like, sure, it was cool. I mean, it had a real shitty bio and story about him that couldn't care less about. But no, as for having him for vintage, I would have loved it. But you're right, knowing the whole idea behind this, like in a way, first it was kind of like a thought of they were trying to create Beast Man, and like, what the hell do we use to make Beast Man? And at one time they're using a grizzly bear to do it, but then they thought, oh, this could look too close to Chewbacca. So that was one idea. But then when Roger Sweet did it, he took that Big Jim bear, or the Big Jim gorilla, and made it yellow and did the armor, and they thought it was cool as shit, but it's not what I guess they were looking for. So then when Mark Taylor then kind of had the idea of, using that Big Jim gorilla, then he did a sketch where he did him paint, and he had the armor that he used for that grizzly bear that they were going to use. And that is basically the idea of where then Beast Man came, was from that. And they actually, the Lords of Power figures, the ones that Andy Alsey, showed us early on, a while back before we got these ones that came out, recently for the PowerCon exclusive, that basically looked exactly like what Mark Taylor sketched for when he sketched up that big, kind of red-looking Gygor body, but using it as a Beast Man. So that kind of sketch became that figure, but then they used that design to go into Beast Man. But Gygor was like something then, it would have been separate. He wouldn't have been Beast Man. But it's like, without Beast Man, you probably wouldn't have got the Gygor, and the whole evolution was interesting. But yes, I would have liked it. I liked what Mark Taylor did with when, like you said, he was putting on the weapons, and I think it was He-Man could be on top of him, or yeah. He-Man. So I mean, it was cool ideas. I mean, I would have liked it, especially being an oversized figure. I would have loved to have some oversized figures, because hell, I mean, we of course never here in the United States got Titus and Megator, so just having something big would have been cool. Never happened. And I don't know, I guess I'm not being an ass when it came to Classics, but I don't know, something just missed the mark for me. I didn't really flip. I was like, it's cool, but I didn't go really bananas when I got it for classics. I don't know about you, Tyler.
But did there?
What's that?
Yeah, you didn't go bananas.
That was unintentional.
I'm aware of it, man. What a terrible comedian you are.
It's like I'm making jokes and I even know. No, but no, it was just all right. I don't know about you, but I didn't like them.
I don't remember reading about it in the book because there's only a few things I remember about that book because I didn't enjoy it. I read it beginning to end and just like I don't want to read this again. It was just garbage to me. Not to say that Roger didn't have valid complaints, but it was just like I get it, man. Can you give us something interesting about the making of He-Man instead of just blah blah blah. I got no credit. Whatever. So it really didn't get really brought up to my attention again until I think the pictures I got to see the pictures of Gygor. I think right after the classics figure had come out, I think it became a little bit more relevant. And seeing the pictures of He-Man on him, like I naturally thought like he was going to be a villain. And then I look at the prototype picture and see that he was possibly going to, and of course you look at the Power and Honor Foundation book, some of the beasts and things were possibly going to be heroic. Like I think one of the earlier pictures of the T-Rex, like He-Man's riding it. So it's just kind of like, they're still trying to figure out, what it's going to be. And then you kind of decide, is this, where do you put it in terms of the alliances and stuff like that. And I mean, I love what the Horseman did with it. I love the helmet, the armor, the big axe, the cape. I mean, you get points. I mean, even if it's something we didn't initially get, but it was intended to be for the original line, I am more accepting of it as opposed to a guy now deciding I want to add an anteater to the heroic warriors because I like anteaters. Anteaters are cool, and he'll be called Antor or something like that. And like, no. Like, even though if that had been created in the 80s and that was something they really wanted to go for, I'm a little bit more lenient about that because that was what they wanted to give us. But I do like the character. Of course, it goes without saying, the bio on the classics, suck donkey balls.
I was talking to Emily about that last night because I wanted to, because I know that there's a couple videos on Gygor on YouTube. So we're kind of giving you guys like a little quick thing on the character. But if you want to look on YouTube, there's some other stuff. I know Pixel Dan had done something, but there was also a video that Scott and Eilich did or had talked about, and I watched, I don't know, maybe 30 seconds of it, and then I stopped it because I couldn't help but not like think about everything that you say and like how much you guys are just sort of like those classic bios just didn't live up to anything. But I guess what you're one thing that stuck out to me, Tyler, just now when you were talking, that you said if someone were to do something now, and you brought up the whole anteater thing, and you're like, well, if they did that before and it's something that they really wanted to do, I accept it now. So I'll ask you a question. What would it take for someone now to introduce a new character and you would be okay with it? What would they need to do to make it acceptable?
First, I have to know that they're not just a fan, but they get it. And that's why I feel like in the NYP series, Larry DiTilio could create the Faceless One. Like, if I was told in advance, the Horseman and Larry DiTilio, Larry's going to write this new storyline for this new toy line, and the Horseman going to develop it. Those guys know what made these characters so magical, powerful, and badass. Like, why we're still talking about this line well over 30 years later. Like, they get it. Larry gets it. Robbie London got it. Other people, Larry Houston gets it. Like, there are certain individuals, like, even though to them it's a job, but in this day and age, years later, like, Larry still got it and still enjoyed it. The Horsemen wanted to do it because they love the series. And people can say they're fans of the series. They can say they're fans of this character and this obscure character. And just because it does not make them the right person to make this kind of decision. As I've said about Scott plenty of times, Scott has said he's a fan. He had this character and that character. Like, that's great. But just coming out of the gate, his decision making and, and putting these bios on these figures and Mattel making sure that is the canon that the fans are going to abide by. And yet it was like, well, if you don't want to listen, you don't have to. Like, people were taking it as to heart, and Mattel is still to this day imposing that those classics are followed.
And it's the most hated canon. It's the most hated canon. That's why I just can't believe it.
Mattel, they cut off classics, but they still insist that anybody who works on classic bios has to continue to follow this or stay in the sandbox that Scott Knightley made. And
though, like the way that I look at that at the same time is the vintage line, right? Had mini comics, and you had a Filmation cartoon. NYP had a cartoon. The classics line just has word vomit on the back of a card. Like, to me, I guess I really do understand that now. That for that to be canon, I see why that pisses a lot of people off. Just because there's nothing else to it other than just one individual at the time thinking they can take and do whatever. It's like, well, this is actually the real name. And
it's a fanfic, basically. That's what they're doing, is taking a fanfic story and then putting it into all this garbage, because you're right, we had no cartoon, so it's like, oh, they don't have a cartoon? Then I'm going to put all this shit into not only the backs of all these bios, but whenever we release a mini-comic, it's going to be horrible, too. Did
many people actually... Because no offense, but
flipping. No, it ain't being a dick. Nobody was flipping over this, and it's showing what we were saying earlier about real fans who love this. It shows in the figures when you were saying, "Well, if they did something new now, would you like it?" If the real fans who get it do it, because just like we said, look at what the Horsemen did. They gave us Drago Man, fantastic fucking figure. But then look at the other ones. That's another one. You get Psychop, you get Sir Laserlot, you get the Mighty Spector. You're getting
all that from guys who just like He-Man.
Exactly, they don't get it. The Four Horsemen love it. They get it.
Yeah, and just and it was all free. Like, all those guys who submitted those ideas, they all had to do it for free. And I mean, I would do it for free too, but I would not submit anything unless I genuinely felt like, and even with the Horse making all those figures, like, I mean, we all know how shitty Spectre was, how shitty Sir Laser was. Sidechop is so unoriginal, and the Horseman did the only one that everybody universally loved and embraced, and that's why I say you have to have the right to create. I would entrust new characters coming from certain individuals. I mean, people we've had on this podcast. I mean, James is very good. Val and Emiliano, Danielle, all of them, they get it. I would trust all four of them.
Speaking of which, I will go ahead and spoil this now, as long as nothing else comes up. Two of those people we're actually going to have on the show next week, so it's going to be a
How about them apples?
A 5-person spectacular that I'm going to go ahead and apologize in advance if on the video feed, like, it looks like words are not matching up with mouth movements, because I've never done a 5-person.
Well, you should have to worry about that with me, but I'll probably be freezing every fucking 5 seconds.
We'll see how that goes.
One quick more thing I was going to say about Gygor. Now, here's the thing. As a kid,
I wasn't done either, too, so I still got to...
All right, this is a quick rant, but I speak 100 miles an hour. But Gygor, as if I was a kid and I would have had him, I know I would have enjoyed him, not only because the oversized, but because there would have been a gimmick. Because we know that the gorilla had that switch on the back, so we'd have been like pounding or doing something.
There would be like a fist pounding,
Right, so that would have worked. But when it came to classics, like I said, I mean, it's cool that they did it, but it was like, yeah, it's nice to display, but just really did nothing for me. I think it would have had more of an impact for me as a kid, but still cool. But yeah, I'll pass it back to you, Tyler.
Well, no, I love it. Like, I'm proud to have him back here. He's got Batros right in front of him. No particular reason. He's just a big guy. I need to put him in the back. But I was just thinking. I mean, the character I think would be. You need a good story, and obviously, that one got screwed right out of the gate immediately.
Well, the thing with those bios, though, were that many people just reading them? Because anytime I've gotten one men on card, and I don't even look at the back. Immediately.
When those things were coming out, though, like, I mean, Rose Scoble was discussing them. Chris Ben's podcast was discussing them, and then I don't think Masters Cast was at the time. They weren't. Those two were going pretty regularly at the time when Classics was pretty regular, when we were getting figures monthly, or and things like that. And
well, generally,
talk about it.
What were the opinions? What were the opinions that back then when you would listen to them and they were talking? Were they like, "Oh, these are okay," or were they universal?
Well, like on Roast Google, like since they had ties to Scott, I get furious listening to it because they would read this stuff, and I'd feel like they're confused, but Scott is connected to them, so you really can't.
Yeah. I get
come out and say this is horseshit.
I get that, but at the same time, like if you were working on it and I thought it sucked, I'd probably be like, man, you know what, that kind of sucked. But I get it, though. I understand.
But that's the thing, though. Like if I worked for Mattel and Nathan, like that, I would. But that's because people they just don't want to put themselves. But I feel like I'd probably get in trouble with Mattel if I came on a podcast and talk with you guys. And you guys said that this character sucks, and I'm like, well, I mean, I can't argue that, but then Mattel probably get mad at me because I'm saying one of their products sucks, even though I'm not the one that greenlit that piece of shit. I'm in charge. I'm the brand manager of it, and I'm pushing for this character to be released instead of that piece of shit. So therefore I get I lose paycheck and face, and they threaten to fire me because the guy above me is like, I want this character, and I want my fucking Chewie, little John Peters there for you. But no, it just, I was waiting for people to tear this shit apart, and nobody was. They were just reading it and just trying to interpret it. When I'm hearing people talk about the technovirus and power vests and all this other bullshit, all these bios, like, they were random. They were random parts of some bullshit story that was put together, apparently. So you get this part, and none of it made any damn sense. And you may not hear a story that connects the technovirus until 2 years later when this other figure comes out. And I was just so furious because I felt like, who is this guy to come along, give them real names, and kill people off for this and kill people off for that? And people were using it as canon because there was no comic book, there's no cartoon. We sure as hell know there was no movie or anything like that. And people were using that as the current storyline. And I thought, why aren't people revolting against this? But I guess it just felt like there were so many people who were clueless about it and just said, okay, this is the new storyline, as opposed to, where are the purists at? Where are the people who use Filmation or the mini comics or MYP as canon? Like, people were just embracing this and just kind of accepting it, as opposed to, what the fuck, man? And, I mean, like I said, there was the one time that I remember them questioning Scott, or two times, was when Danielle finally said, why the hell is Snake Man at Arms being released? Like, she didn't say it that abruptly, but there weren't that many times where I feel like they questioned him because, you don't want to upset Mattel when Mattel is deliberately giving you access to things. I think I get that, but it just felt like the things that Scott was greenlighting was like, this makes no sense, and people are just way too accepting of it. Thankfully, though, they were not accepting of Spectre or Sir Laserlot, even though they were shoehorned into this bullshit DC digital comics that came out and stuff like that. But getting back to Gygor, like, I just feel like that character needed a valid story. Looking at the guy, that guy should be either the guardian or gatekeeper of Snake Mountain and the general for Skeletor's armies. Like, we see Skeletor goes, sends out small groups of his warriors all the time. Like, you never see like actual armies, but when it comes down to it, Gygor should be the guy leading or commanding the skeleton armies, demon armies, Skelecons, whatever. Like, he needs to be the guy that's out there on the battlefront, like sending that group in and over from this direction. And then when he goes into battle, he's carrying his big ass axe and just tearing people left and right. Or he's at Skeletor's side, like waiting to get his say so before he goes and sends this battalion like that way. Like, I feel like he should be a general or someone who is guarding any, like, the most accessible way into Snake Mountain, or throws people out. I just feel like he should be this brute that is very intelligent. You do not want to mess with this guy. I mean, on any level whatsoever. Like, he is constantly feared by not by the evil warriors. Like, you kind of feel like there's a camaraderie there, but you feel like if you see this guy, this giant yellow gorilla, I mean, things are going to get really messed up fast. And he should be very intelligent. Like, apes are intelligent, gorillas are very intelligent. This guy working for Skeletor should be one of the smartest guys in Skeletor's roster. not trying to overpower him, but I just feel like you look at him, just based on what we know about gorillas, like he should be a very formidable foe. He should be somebody that He-Man should think twice when he goes in the battle, not just run in with the battle axe, but like, this guy's smart. He's fast. He's strong. God, I'm tired of being right.
Well, I did get Gygor from eBay. Came in the mail Friday. I opened it up yesterday morning, and I would.
Don't tell me he's broke.
No, he's fine. I would grab him right now, but when I opened up the box, because he was in the box and came with the mailer and everything, it just smelled like cigarette smoke. And I was like, shit.
Oh.
So I got the box and everything the hell out of the house, and I just have him like just sitting here airing him out, and he probably still stinks a little bit, but I didn't want to pick him up and touch him and then like just smell it the rest of the show. Be like a chocolate covered.
Was he
pretzel.
pricey?
Because
I'm curious what these things even run for nowadays. I don't even know what because I had them all.
He was 75, which in terms of classics to still be in box with mailer, that's pretty cheap, all things considered.
Yeah.
So,
and it's weird him being so big, but since he's probably one of the most obscure in most people's minds, wondering who the fuck is this guy. I see him, being that cheap compared to others where they know certain characters and the prices are ridiculous, like the ones for Fisto and Scareglow and all them.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I doubt they'll ever make him for Origins. I think he's like, this is your only shot is having him for Classics. That's pretty much it. But
I really wish though, like, because it makes me think like getting an oversized figure like him in the '80s, like what kind of box art would we have gotten with him, or would he have come on a card? And Aaron McCarthy does the artwork on the back. Like, what kind of packaging would that character have got?
I bet it would have been a window box. I could have pictured window box, and on the back, it probably would have some really beautiful scene. That's all I could envision, at least. Or if anything, some of them, how they do that side art and then have a flap up, and then maybe the flap up. But I would have loved to have seen something if Earl Norm could do something, or William George.
Oh, he would have come in that package like Strider or Night Stalker, where it's a window, but you get the artwork above it.
Yeah, right, and then... Right. It would have probably been William George that would have did it. Would have probably been fantastic. It's a shame. It's a missed opportunity of what could have been a great piece. But
it was getting a mini comic with this gorilla, which probably back then would have been one of He-Man's buddies, probably, which would have been cool. But I kind of like the idea of this yellow gorilla being a villain. I mean, the color scheme alone. I mean, if the Horsemen wanted to do something different, I felt like they would have given him different armor if they didn't. But I don't know if that was Scott's idea to make him a villain or not, but what the Horseman did, like, he's a villain to me, flat out. Like,
I would have. Yeah, I'm sure he would. Yeah, definitely, probably a villain. He would have fit best as a villain. And this is at least you got one of them because he's probably a one and done. You'll never see him in Origins. But if I'm proven wrong someday, cool. It'd be interesting to see if they would try to do.
Joe, you and I both know we're not being proved wrong. We're just right. We're just tired of being right. I would like to be wrong at some point. I'm hoping when we get another
would be nice.
Stairs, I'm hoping I'm really wrong about that.
Yeah, let's hope so. That was fun talking. Like I said, Gygor is different, but now we'll talk about the Icons of Evil Trapjaw and at least something good, something a little different. And Nathan, again, if you wanted to start off, and I don't know, will you pop images on the screen?
It's already done, Joe. It's already done. I just gotta.
Okay, you know me. I got a 30-second delay.
I gotta finagle Tyler's camera a little bit where he wasn't here at the start. I just gotta, there we go, done, and do this. It's interesting to see. I gotta get the bigger images up for myself to look through here.
Are you gonna have a slideshow where it just goes through it?
Yep, just got the slideshow going through. The first thing that stuck out to me, and I looked into it more, that Robert Kirkman worked on this with Val and helped with the plot and the story. And I imagine most of you know who Robert Kirkman is at this point because he's probably filthy rich because he had this little known book, you may have heard of it, called The Walking Dead that he did. And now he's super, super rich from selling that and having all 87 spin-off shows that they're doing on AMC right now. So I'm sure he's counting his money. But this was one of like the early on in his career when he really started making a name for himself in the business. This is one of the things that he worked on was these Icons of Evil books. And Tyler, you said last week that this is your favorite of the three, and you guys kind of were both feeling the same way, that you didn't really dig too much on the other two stories. Can we go ahead and talk about that as to why, like, those other two stories weren't up to snuff as compared to Trapjaw?
Well, yeah, I mean, we had a Beastman, a Merman, and a Triclops, and next to Trapjaw, and Beastman's was forgettable. It was cool to see a little bit more Keldor at the time, but overall, it didn't really provide any kind of interesting scenario of Keldor meeting Beastman and getting him to join his group. Merman showed you nothing other than he was apparent king at some point, which I just thought, like, it kind of like it made all these guys like I always want to assume that all these guys were selfish creatures. Wherever they come from, they're like Triclops. You know, obviously, I don't like the scientist aspect, but he shows up as this. It was such a forgettable book. I didn't like the artwork, and I didn't like the idea of Triclops being a good guy to begin with, who's blinded, and Keldor kind of manipulates him into joining him after his blindness and everything. And I was like, this is bullshit, man. It's just lame. Triclops should have been the best of all four, and it was. I'd say it wasn't the worst. I think Merman's was the worst because it gave you nothing, and Beastman's was just forgettable. And Triclops is like you humanized Triclops. Like, no, Trapjaws was the best because it's like you could watch the beginning of part one, where you see the opening sequence at the Hall of Wisdom, and you see Cronus the only time in the series, or second time, or the first time of two times, and you could watch that and pick this Trapjaw book up and feel like you've watched, the continuation, because that when they leave, Keldor's been hit with the acid and all that stuff, and then Skeletor is now like the new persona, and you feel like you could really just watch and kind of play up when you watch the MYP series, read that book, and then jump right back into the series and kind of see, okay, this kind of like, I completely buy that, and I also buy that as a plausible backstory for Trapjaw as well. Like, I do like the idea from the mini comic better, where he comes from another dimension, like an intergalactic prisoner. I like that, where he's so damn powerful that Skeletor and He-Man have to take him down. But this one, it was original, and at that point, Cronus,
he was a forgettable nothing. Like, when you first seen him in the cartoon, and you first seen, is that supposed to be Trapjaw, but he's Trapjaw? It was forgettable. Like, really didn't care.
Well,
but they took a character.
I thought that was kind of cool at the time. That, like, okay, that's supposed to be, because everyone else has already been established with their actual look. Triclops looks his way, but I like Trapjaw was the only one that looked drastically different, so it made you feel like, okay, we'll get to see how he becomes Trapjaw.
And that's the thing, and it never happened. Like, at least for this comic, we got it, and that's what made that character. When I seen him in the cartoon, it's like, okay, but we never seen nothing, and how did he go from that to that? It just says, okay, he's kind of a throwaway character, forgettable. So he took that character that kind of was forgettable into this, and now you got a presence. It's like, damn, this would have been a beautiful episode to see. I could envision watching this. And they didn't even have to do a ton. That's another thing. It shows you don't need tons of dialogue to make it an amazing comic, because as you've seen in this comic, there's not a lot. But it's a lot of
so damn good.
Exactly, a lot of looks, but of course, a lot of action in it. But just the thought of it, it's like, how he starts off, he's thinking that, Skeletor now is Skeletor, not Keldor, is different. He's not the same. He shouldn't be leading, and he's brash about, I should do it. And he goes, and of course, when he gets his ass kicked out of Snake Mountain, then what does he do? He does put together, an army together, but almost in a way, I think he's seeing what Skeletor was saying, when Skeletor was saying, you don't know what it's like out there. And what he was saying, you don't know how hard all the wars that's out there and how the food is scarce. And as you've seen, as he's starting to gather his armies, he's saying the same thing to them as what Skeletor said to, Trapjaw, at Cronus at the time. But he still believes I should be a leader, and he shows he is a great leader, and he's an ass kicker. I mean, you'd see he wasn't even having weapons half the time when he's beating the piss out of these people. And then he overthrows that one guy to, now I'm the leader. And then when he has that guy questioning him, it's almost like how he questioned Skeletor. So it's kind of a reflection of both in the same way. But then, you know what? We got one more place we're going to go to, and that's Snake Mountain. And when he gets into that fight, which, I mean, it was just, I love the back and forth. I love just seeing the power of Skeletor, too, just how he just melts off, burns, like, the helmet, like, to where he has, it goes off his helmet or his head, and then what else he does to him. But I love the backstory. It was a great backstory to show this character, and the thought of when Skeletor thought, that Trapjaw was like trying to cower then and plead for his life, and at the end you hear, even almost just completely dead, he's trying to choke Skeletor. It's like, this fucker is just evil hardcore through and through, and it's just a beautiful way to portray that character, to then become Trapjaw. It's like, you know what, keep your enemies, or your friends close, your enemies closer. This was beautiful. It was just, it's such a shame we couldn't have got that into the cartoon, but this, yeah, definitely, they wrote a fantastic story. Zero cheese, no corniness, all seriousness all the way through, and that's why, yeah, this was one of the best they did.
Yeah, and they didn't have to stretch it out over 6 issues.
Right, exactly. We didn't have to have a 6-part story arc to get there, and tons of boring dialogue. Minimal dialogue, lots of action. It gets to the point you understand the exact, the goal of what Cronus wanted to, do through this whole story, and then of course who he becomes. But this is how you tell a story. You don't have to drag it out, fucking, like you said, 6 issues, 12 issues, 16. One story, minimal dialogue, great action, and like I said, fantastic art too. And this is why, definitely, it was the favorites out of all the Icons of Evils for me.
It was universally like accepted by everybody when that book came out. Like everybody, I didn't see anything at the time that, and I kind of feel like when people talk about that, they always point to the Trapjaw as being the not just the fan favorite, but it was the ultimate favorite. It did the most service for the character. It actually gave you something that was unique and not just filler, which is how all the others were. They didn't enhance the character or bring you a different spin. It was just they're there. Or this was not a disservice to the character. Like, if you don't like the idea of Trapjaw like having a more humanoid form before, and all this comes from battle, that's okay. It's fun to not have everything explained, but this was because this is like the only one. Like, it's not like you see this all the time with Skeletor's Forces where they're constantly like revolting against him. Like, yeah, they get pissed off at him for him being an asshole, but this is really the only time we've seen like someone like leave the ranks and lead a rebellion and revolt and try to take down Skeletor. Like, we don't see that we still to this day have not seen anything like that really. We've seen people like double cross and stuff like that, but not to this magnitude. And Trapjaw wasn't double cross; he was thrown out and was like, "I'll show you." And it's cool because it's logical that Skeletor to say, like, you know what, you got some balls to do this. Like, yeah, I kicked your ass, but you know what, I like the way you think. Let's keep you alive.
Yeah, I'll spare you.
Yeah, like, I can see Skeletor doing that. Like, Skeletor's that's another thing. He's an intelligent villain. Like, he sees, like, look what this guy put together with a weapon in one hand and his brain. Like, I need that. Like, that's the way Skeletor should always be portrayed. There should always be a counteraction. Like, it should never just be like he loses, but he ought to learn from this. Like, I mean, because obviously something. I mean, it was a threat. I mean, you see the army that's assembled, all these tribes on the Dark Hemisphere under Cronus' control. Like, that's impressive. Like, any smart dictator would I want that guy on my side. That's how we should always see Skeletor, King Hiss, and Hordak portrayed, is guys who how can I take advantage of the situation? It's like, hell yeah. And then it just made him even better, making him a human weapon, and it was, I just wish it was somebody else, because I'm sure it's Triclops putting him back together. I'm like, no, that's my only gripe, and has no fault of the book. It's just like they decided to make him a damn scientist.
And I still hope this is why you guys. I hope you understand. This is when I talked about this comic that I ripped to shit.
That's funny.
What pisses me off.
That was funny.
Did you give a good middle finger to Mattel after you did that?
No middle finger. It's just it was grim, and of course Nathan having to antagonize. Do it, Joe. Do it. I could picture him in school telling somebody, yeah, he talked about you and causing a fight. But this is why I get so pissed. Is you read something like this, people that just wrote a masterful piece of Masters of the Universe literature, and then you get this garbage to where in this, by the way, Tyler, if you ever do see this fucking comic, you're going to see how they treated Trapjaw. It's moronic and it's ridiculous, and I'm tired. I don't want to hear the excuse anymore of them saying, but this line, it's focused towards the little kids. No, it's not. It's not for the fucking kids. It's for us. It's for us. We're the ones that are going to be buying it the most. And even when we were kids, the first comics, even though they were confusing and convoluted half the time, but as they advanced, We didn't get all that corniness right from the start and stupid stuff. Like, picture Trapjaw's mini comic, for Christ's sake. What we read back then, my God, that was nothing corny, and it wasn't demeaning kids and treating and belittling them. So if you are writing for kids, which you're not, just keep in mind, kids do have an imagination. They do like to think about and have some kind of fantasy, but you're killing their imagination by writing this shit that we had right here.
Was that another six-page mini comic?
Yeah.
Another 6-page masterpiece of just bullshit. This is what I mean. And again, for those who say, well, you guys don't like nothing past the Filmation stuff, right here we're discussing shit that came out in 2000.
I tell you, anybody who listens to this podcast and wants to come after Joe or any of us for dumping on these mini comics, I'm sorry, but that's where I have to pretty much dismiss your opinion, not as a person, but nobody can argue the lack of quality that they're putting into the whole package. Like box art, you like it, great. If you like the presentation, the whole retro play bullshit sticker bubble and all that stuff, fine. But these mini comics, like that's a crime, and I'll take anyone to court over that. I don't care. You guys can hate my guts all you want. You can love Joe and feel like, I can't listen because I thought Joe was special and super nice and this and that. And I thought Nathan was side with me. Like, you guys, there's not a single person in the fan community on this planet that can defend the poor attention that those mini comics have been given by Mattel. Like, budget, no, you could. I would write those for free. I would put a better 6-page story. If it only had to be 6 pages, it could be done in 6 pages. It would not. Does anybody want that? No, but I hate that. It just makes you wonder, like, oh my God, like, what's Clampjam and Ninja going to get? What is the Barons going to get?
I can't even envision, I'm scared to think about it.
I probably will have to bow out for like the first 30 minutes when the Clampjam mini comic, because I'm not going to sit on here and listen to Joe tell me or Nathan what's in the one that features Clampjam and Ninja. Or like I will just stay gone, and Nathan tells me when I can come back.
Because you wouldn't want to be a part of it. Like I said, if I ever discuss this actually one day, it's going to be the quickest shit, but I don't even want you to fucking hear it. But
no, I'd rather not. Based on what was in that last one, like just seeing the pages and how shitty the artwork was, like, we know Mattel doesn't care, and they're afraid to pull the trigger on anything, but they invest so much money. Like, and maybe and I don't know the insides and outs of Mattel. I do not. I'm not going to pretend to. But when you see this lack of quality here, like, I don't care what the problems are. If you weren't going to do it to the fullest, then don't bother at all.
Yeah, and I was going to say, and before we do get to the chat, because right now, guys, if there's any questions you have us, from the mini comics, cartoon, anything you want to ask, put it in the chat room right now.
Hey,
and in the meantime,
damn it, Joe, I had more I wanted to say about this fucking comic book.
You can say more. You can say more. I'm going to say one thing, though. Tyler, I had to tell you one thing. In this fucking mini comic that I ripped to shit, meow was said one more time. So go ahead, Nathan. You can go ahead. Just headline.
We'll let Tyler sit in anguish for a second.
Yes.
If I did have one minor nitpick about this, I'm not a fan of. Maybe it's just the text that they used, but for all the action stuff, the overuse of Doom.
Doom.
And splacked. Like, I feel like most of the time the words didn't even need to be there. It looks like the action spoke for itself. Like, obviously, I feel like most people's favorite panel in this comic is either the spot where Skeletor is like blasting on Trapjaw and you see his face starting to melt, or the part where he punches him and his jaw just shatters in the air and it's got the Doom on it. To me, that didn't need to be there.
No, I will not argue that at all. Like, the pictures sell the impact and the importance of what's going on. So yeah, I'm with you on that one. We don't need the what is it? Onomatopoeia? Isn't that like the words that convey sound? Isn't that the technical term for it?
I'm a moron. I don't know nothing. I don't know.
Well, anyway, like, yeah, it's not needed. I mean,
onomatopoeia.
You're looking it up right now.
The formation of a word from a sound associated with what is named. So there we go. Hey, look, Tyler got one up on. Because I was like, I've heard it, but I never put it in a context of its definition before. But it's like the next page here. After he's shattered his jaw and like it's gruesome. I love it, but they have to have thud when he's already there on his knees. Like, it's already implied that, like, yeah, he dropped to his knees. I don't need to like picture the sound that it made when he hit the ground. But to me, I think it's just the font that they used for it too that just sticks out too much to me. But that's the only nitpick I have about it. Other than that, I think it's a fantastic little story.
Yeah, and I would buy that as canon going forward. If anybody like going forward and there's a new story being put together, like if they wanted to bring that element in, like I would be all for that. Like sure, if you want to make Trapjaw, Cronus, and this is what happened, I'm cool with that too. My preference would be him being a prisoner, but it's such a great story, and it was that's what you want. You want to feel like it doesn't take away from the character or the mystery, because I don't know, it's still kind of fun. Like I really don't wonder how Trapjaw got the way that he is. Like it's just more fun to think about what he can do and how menacing he is, and not necessarily how he got a iron jaw and he's missing a right arm and has to put attachments to it. Like
because I never cared about that back in the day. You just accepted it, but yeah, for this it worked.
I didn't care that his face is green and his body's blue. Right. Like it just didn't bother. It just looks cool visually, but
you question nothing. Yeah, this it worked. They actually did it properly.
It was like, and I kind of wondered because the animated series deliberately depict Trapjaw like that, so it's almost like there was reason behind that, almost like were there plans to have a Trapjaw origin episode in the series, and they decided, well, you know what, it's probably gonna be too graphic to show how a guy loses his jaw and his right arm, so maybe we could save that for a comic book or something. But I kind of feel like MYP had set that up somehow deliberately. And, and there's no like advertising, hey, check out the comics if you wanted to find out why this character looks different now. Especially if you were a kid and you're watching that cartoon, like, okay, what the hell who is that blue guy? Because if you're a young kid at the time, chances are you're probably not going to put that together. And unless you went to a local comic book store, you couldn't find these He-Man MYP comics, at your local food line, on the spinner rack. So, but anyway, it's a classic.
All right, I give it a 10. And I was going to get to the questions. Curtis Ackerman said, "Did you guys check out that Blood of Zeus on Netflix? And what did you think of the job Powerhouse did?" I still haven't checked it, Curtis. I'm going to have to see it, but I didn't know if he said it might. I can't remember if he said it was one of the companies that's working on, maybe one of the masters.
Yeah, it's the same. I think it's the same company that's doing the current or the Kevin Smith series.
Yeah. Kevin Smith one. Okay, yeah. Did you see this then, Tyler? The Blood of Zeus?
I watched the trailer for it. The trailer looked pretty good, but and I intend to check it out because I like Greek mythology. But I mean, it made suck balls and look like that Henry Cavill Immortals movie, fight for your children bullshit. Where it's like, God, it's like no one knows how to do Greek mythology anymore. But yeah, I am interested to check it out and see if there's anything interesting in it. I intend to, but I just haven't made it a priority right now.
I might check it this week. What about you, Nathan? Did you check it out?
Same boat. It was one of those things where you put it on the little thumbnail and the trailer plays. I thought it looked great as well, but I haven't got around to checking it out. I've been trying to finish up season 2 of The Boys because I've been digging that show quite a bit, and I missed it when it came out because I was still waiting on fucking internet at the time, but yeah. So I need to finish that up. But that would be something I would like to go and check out because I too do enjoy Greek mythology. I think that was the only thing about 9th grade English that I really enjoyed was like dabbling into that, and then when we had to read the Iliad and the Odyssey, or the Iliad, yeah. And then watch that fucking movie,
The Odyssey, with Armando Sante, the NBC original movie miniseries.
Yeah. Which at the time I was like, this is badass. And I watched.
Yeah, me too.
I watched it not too long ago. I'm like, yes, this kind of fucking sucks a little bit, but yeah, that was my favorite part of 9th grade. So I always liked shit like that. Always been into that.
All right. Sportimus had a question for Tyler. Said, Tyler, honest question, what makes Ninja so cool to you besides being a ninja? He said, just curious.
Like a ninja in this mythology, it works. But the fact that this ninja comes from another dimension, I just think his visual is interesting. He's a character of mystery. We don't know much about him, which is what drew my attention to Clamp Champ. I think he needs to stay character mystery. But I think the ninja character works so well. I mean, it was cool to see briefly in Thundercats. It's something that I feel like you can put. I mean, obviously we love it in GI Joe, but I think it works very well. And the fact that he's kind of a humanoid kind of creature-esque, where he's got creature feet, but he is more human than anything else. But I just think, we get Jitsu, is the master of martial arts, but just there's a lot of mystery to Ninjor, and I just
within the shadows and his items that he can use. I mean, he's quite different from Jitsu. And the thing is, I mean, in the late 70s to early 80s, I mean, ninjas just were the hot thing. They were in everything, and I never questioned it. And I never thought, what's a ninja doing on Eternia? I mean, he comes from another dimension, and as you said, his feet are webbed, they're clawed. He's not a human ninja. He just came from a different dimension. What's it to say that there can only be ninjas on Earth? And I just love that they went with it, and I like having somebody within the shadows, and you don't know who's going to be there. It can be that silent assassin. I mean, he's a fantastic character. I mean, Ninja was like one of my favorites back then. I always loved him.
I actually I didn't know I didn't know nothing of the character as a kid. Even I had to search the cover of mini comic, and I had no recollection of the character until until the early days of the internet, and and having Axel draw him multiple times for me as well, and it just kind of really reinvigorated my interest in the character altogether. Like, I thought it was a great character, but I just thought I really liked how Axel drew him, and that kind of really enhanced the drawing he did that had a Ninja or Sorod blade and Tuvar fighting Clamp and Lizard Man chained at the wrist. It looks so menacing, and I want to see more of that. There's a lot of malice in the character. I mean, he's an assassin. He's a ninja. He will take any. I mean, there's so much fun to be had with the ninja running around on Eternia. It's almost like, just look at the guy. That is my explanation for the character. But I would love to do more with him. There's way too much fun to be had with the ninja on Eternia. There's my explanation there.
There you go. No, I agree. Completely agree. Fedmon said, first, Grimbot did want to say to Nathan that, yes, it was just the font. He said if it was done in an old school manner, the font probably wouldn't have been so bad. Because I know Grim, he's real particular about fonts. I mean, hell, I used something one time. He's like, Joe, why the fuck are you using that Comic Sans or Sans or whatever they call it font? I was like, I don't know. I was like, that's all I got. I didn't know what he's talking about. I was like, well, I don't know. So, yeah, there you go.
Wow, a laugh snort from Joe. Holy shit.
That was, couldn't help it. Femon said, question and answer. What was your go-to under 5 show when you were a kid? He said, examples, Mr. Rogers, Sesame Street. For me, it was, I love the Electric Company. I remember just watching, in school, I said, that's when I would have my graham crackers and licking them and making them last the day to save food. But on that, there was these little Spider-Man skits where Spider-Man, and it was live action Spider-Man, was on the show. And that might look corny as shit for people nowadays, but as a kid, when you're seeing a superhero on TV and it's live action doing stuff, man, I couldn't wait for that part of school when they would show the Electric Company and then Spider-Man would have a skit. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, you can check it on YouTube later. But yeah, for me, Electric Company was one for under 5, I think.
I was watching cartoons, from as early as I can remember, from age 3. So, I was watching He-Man, Thundercats, and G.I. Joe, Ghostbusters. The only live action stuff, I did watch Sesame Street, and I love Mr. Rogers, and I still love Mr. Rogers to this day. I love.
We need Mr. Rogers these days, yeah.
Yeah, I love that show so much. I love the trolley. I was fascinated with the neighborhood of make believe as a kid. I just thought it was so cool, the little chair factory that hardly ever got any attention on the show, and King Friday and all. It was just fascinating. But I liked everything back then. But as far as I guess if we're talking live action stuff, Mr. Rogers and some Sesame Street at the time. But other than that, I was knee deep in ass kicking cartoons as early as I can remember. I don't know life without it, honestly.
Yeah,
so.
I think I would be in the same boat because during that time, the whole dynamic of TV programming geared towards children had already changed pretty drastically anyway. I know that the question sort of more shows specific.
You're under 5.
Yeah, shows that specifically are made for kids under 5 years old. So definitely Mr. Rogers. Sesame Street I would watch, but I almost felt like compared to Mr. Rogers, Sesame Street to me is more of like toddlers. When I like you.
Who else could give a middle finger though? Who else could get a middle finger
True,
and get away with it?
with
Mr. Rogers.
Yeah.
Where's Stumpkin, and then where's what is that? Tall Man? He called it. Oh, that's classic.
Yeah. But if you guys get a chance, watch the documentary on Mr. Rogers as well.
I've yet to see that. I had every intention of watching it too, and I'd love to see it.
It's a tearjerker for sure. Cause
I figured it was. I went back and watched like some clips on YouTube about 2 years ago. I was just watching a bunch of stuff and just watching like the certain guests you had on the show, and there was one child that was, I guess, essentially a paraplegic on the show, and he just has them on and just talking about, tell the kids, what kind of life you live, and when he's being honored so many years later for like a TV Hall of Fame, that child comes out as an adult, and I started crying in my car. I was like taking a break at work, and I'm crying in my car watching Fred Rogers' reaction to this child. Like you see, and then when he comes out as an adult, I'm like, oh my god, man! It was just, it was like, and I couldn't fight the tears back. It was so wonderful to see that, and to see that he would have on, a man of, a black man on there to show him, well, there's nothing wrong with a man who has a different color or a woman of different ethnicity or whatever. Like, it was really cool that show was trying to let everyone know, let's stop all this racist bullshit and just thinking like this person's different. Who gives a fuck? Yeah. They're a person too.
Yeah.
It's a shame that kind of show. I mean, and what it was so beneficial, and I didn't feel like I was being talked down to. When you watch that show, it was more about learning about this and see all this fun. And feed the fish. I love when you go feed the fish, man. That was one of my favorite parts of the show. Walk past the big stoplight in this kitchen and go feed the fish, man. I love that show, man.
We should just do a commentary on an episode of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood one day. Just to completely throw everybody off. Don't even like promote it or announce that that's what we're doing. It's just like, hey, and now we're gonna check out an episode of Mr. Rogers.
Hey, and then we'll have James on to do a commentary for Mr. Rogers' episode. Now, how messed up?
Oh, hey, we've already figured out our topic for next week. Then spoilers, everybody.
Adam Gabbard had a question. He said, Joe Tyler Nathan, he said there was a blooper in his sentence from the last week's Super 7 question, so he says he apologizes. His question is, will we be able to see newer as seen on TV figures soon for Masters of the Universe?
Probably not.
Adam, no, because that was Super 7 stuff, so yeah you're not going to be seeing that in Origins.
Mattel wanted it back so they could give you its subpar shit again.
Yeah, that was because when we were told that Mattel wanted to get back in on, like, so this is what their plan was, is to, you guys are having too much fun with this. We got to get back in here and look at what we all got, man. Shitty mini comics, shitty face sculpts. I hope everyone's happy, man.
And Curtis has a question, and I hate asking Tyler this because I just feel bad. I know it's gonna give up a memory. He said, "I love the Ninja or Clamp Champ comic Tyler did. Any chance we'll ever be able to purchase a hard copy?"
The only way that I could, because I don't know how to print comics or anything like that. If there's anybody out there that would love to take on the duty of, getting all the pages that I've got and putting it in mini comic form and putting together the copies, like,
but
I'd love to do it. I can't pay anybody to do it. I didn't pay Carson for it. Like, Carson did it, and people would pay for the comics. So it was just strictly a passion project. We didn't do any kind of Kickstarter or anything like that. I don't think we have the kind of following to get a lot of money for that, but I would love to do it. But I don't know anybody that would be willing to do it or put in the time and money for printing and sending me the copies, and then I would send them out to anybody that would pay the person who took the time to print it. Like, they would be the ones that get the money for it, and that's kind of how it would need to work, because I wouldn't take any money for it. I just want the person who was willing to put the time and effort to print it to get all the money, because I don't.
It needs to be finished first.
Yeah, it does need to be finished, colored, and inked and everything like that. And I know Kevin had mentioned, but hell, it's it's hard to get people like James. I know he's having issues getting his weekly book put out too. People bitching about, I don't like it weekly. A bunch of assholes. So it's pretty much mission impossible at this point. So I'd have to hire Tom Cruise to help get this thing done. But I'm glad you asked about it because it's cool to know that people remember it or are interested in it, and that makes me feel good. You know, I appreciate you asking about it. I really do, and hopefully we'll get lucky and somebody can come along and help make sure everybody gets a copy of it.
All right. And Sportimus had a question. So, do you guys think that a Masters of the Universe comic would be better done outside of DC? Any particular company you'd prefer? And yes, obviously, I wouldn't want DC doing it anymore. I don't want Mattel doing it anymore. I wouldn't even know what the hell Marvel could do. Even though theirs were fun back in the day, I don't know what they would do now. I would just prefer something like almost like what Val did in Emiliano, you know. And that's the thing with rights, though. I know they would never, like put that out to a third party to do again, but I'd have more faith in people outside of some of those big companies like DC, Marvel, and Mattel doing it, because we have been delivered lots of shit as of late, and I'd love to see real fans involved doing it. Like when Val and Emiliano were involved, fantastic comics. It was probably the last time, as I've said a million times, that I enjoyed Masters of the Universe comics, because any of the stuff we've currently gotten since then has been trash.
Yeah, I mean, if it was like put out to one of DC's like more mature brands, because adults are the only ones buying comics. I don't want to hear any bullshit. No children are buying comics. Well, for the most part, the bread and butter, even though the comics industry has been suffering for years, adults are the only ones still buying it because you can only buy comics in comic stores, which are few and far between. Yeah, I mean, unless DC is like they got their act together and showed that but they're too worried about messing up the Batman, Superman, Justice League mythologies and all that other shit. I don't know what's going on in those books. I don't care. I don't like what they've done. The New 52 bullshit and all that other stuff that happened years ago. Like I just feel like they got no business. But unless they're going to turn it over to a division of DC Comics that handles properties that are like strictly flagship stuff, like it's pretty much just doomed in DC's hands until they decide that or Mattel's more hands-on about making sure look we want someone who's actually going to take pride in this and not just turn it out because you guys have got the rights for it and just hire any schlub to write mass hysteria in the book, and then where I have to leave the podcast multiple times, and Nathan and Joe go through it, and Joe's about ready to pull a Keanu Reeves right there in the podcast, and Nathan's clapping his hands for Billy Madison when Eric gets caught on fire. And
like I said, everything we say, I mean, it's not that we're expecting everybody to love what we say each week, because we know we'll probably piss some people off, but that's the thing. I mean, it's our opinions, and I like that. Yeah, and we don't agree all the time, but we say it, and we're being honest, and if we can always piss in somebody's Cheerios, at least one person once a week or a couple, hey, we're doing something right. And I think we have one more final question before we wrap it up, and that's coming from Gavin the Nerd, who said, a question for the three amigos: what voice for He-Man and Skeletor would you have for a kid's cartoon? And he said, also, Tyler, did you see the Joe meme that he did where it was, I think, me as Leonardo DiCaprio or sculpting somebody as a figure? He said something.
Oh, yeah.
It was something.
Paint me like one of your French girls.
Yeah, or sculpt me or whatever. Didn't he want me to customize me like one of your things?
Gavin the Nerd wants a custom naked Kate Winslet from Titanic. Make it happen, Joe.
Oh, there you go. As for I can do it, but no. As for the voices, that's what pisses me off. The cartoon we had when we grew up, which were for kids, the voices were perfect. They didn't, like I said, talk down to the children. Even though, yes, we know things had to start getting watered down for season 2 because all the fucking parent groups and bullshit. But otherwise, I'm fearful of what this kids version of He-Man and the Master Universe is going to be. Not the Kevin Smith, but the other one. That is going to be some slapstick, yucked up piles of shit where Mia is now going to be canon in a fucking cartoon too, probably. I can't even imagine. I expect nothing less than what we got in the 80s. What's wrong with having a hero that sounds like a hero and a villain that's a villain and not yuck them and kitty them up? So that's what I'd want. Is shit that we've had before, stuff we got in MYP. I don't understand why they couldn't continue it, but we are going to get delivered a pile of mess when He-Man and the Master Universe comes out. Not the Kevin Smith one, but the other. That's going to be some shit.
But Joe, kids these days have attention spans that can be measured in nanoseconds.
Yeah.
It's
just like cuts me like looking at this bird, twitting in the tree. Them, their Zima, their hula hoops, their Dan Bokelberg, and their Pac-Man video games.
Yeah, it's gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad.
He doesn't even know what we're talking about. It's just right over Joe's head.
No, that's when Joe just kind of starts muttering and rambling and saying like
talking to myself.
And
Joe Shaq got rich playing in college. Everybody knows that. You guys rip with me 13, 14 more times, I'm out of here. This place is a shithole anyway.
Stuff?
Yeah.
I thought it was maybe more Okay.
It is basketball.
It's like, because you're a piece of shit. I'm not a piece of shit. Yeah, but you're a little bitch. Sure are. Damn it, man.
How am I supposed to get a chick in this? Dude, you couldn't get a chick if you had a $100 bill hanging in your zipper. Yeah, I could. No, dude, you're a little bitch. I am not. And that's when Joe starts holding on to his head, you know.
I think, yeah, I've seen basketball maybe twice, so I definitely don't know all the quotes.
Joe,
I'm sure
it's okay to say, I didn't see that piece of shit. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. It wasn't my kind of humor. Now, Family Guy, that's my kind of, where they sing and 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 they sing. And they repeat the same, over again. That's my kind of humor there, people. Right, Joe?
I'm easily amused. But, all right. But,
another one of Brittany Mom's pubic hairs. If you guys haven't watched basketball, just go watch it. It's
anybody watching this podcast, I leave in the comments, damn it, if you've seen it. Well, I know you had to have liked it, and I hate that movie has no reputation at all. Like, Bill Hader likes the movie. Like, it's a severely, criminally underrated comedy. I do not. I'm taking
stupid. It's stupid humor, but it's great.
Oh, it's awesome. I mean, it's got the weight of Naked Gun and South Park combined in the same damn movie. You know, Robert Vaughn's funny as hell in it. Chicken poo? What? You want me to have bigger titties? What? No. Which I feel like that's Joe on the podcast. He's like Robert Vaughn. What? No. You know. Yeah, that's Joe.
Just go watch basketball.
Yeah, that goes for you too, Joe.
Joe missed just a couple of comments. Curtis Hickerman said, I love how Joe talked about licking his graham crackers to make them last, and there was literally no reaction from Tyler or Nathan. That was really funny to him. And
well, I think you guys are so used to my licking food shit that it's
Joe's saying he's 3 years old. Like, why does Joe need to save food when he's 3 years old?
Well, it was 5, but I was pack rat, and I don't know why. I felt like an animal to where I had to guard my food, or I thought I had to make it last. So I literally would lick.
Joe's like it's like this loincloth made out of his lumberjack fabric there, and like scratching his head with his foot. You know, he's just this like animal kid, like.
I have no idea where it came from. Like I said, I still lick my food to this day. Like when I get a bag of Doritos, I gotta lick the cheese off before I eat it. It's bizarre, but when I was a kid, we'd get the cinnamon graham crackers while we were watching TV during the break time. I'd lick all the cinnamon off, then I would hide the crackers in a napkin, put it in my desk, and then eat it throughout class to make it last. I felt like I had to. I wasn't going to get food. I don't know.
How many times were your parents called to the school and your teacher had to have a conversation? It's like, look, Joey's doing some weird shit at his desk. I don't know. Lunchtime was over 5 hours ago, and he's still sitting here eating just this little bit of goldfish cracker.
Well, the worst was, like I said, since my last name's Amato, I was always sat in the front because we did it alphabetically by last names to who sat in the front. And I told you the story of when anytime we had to get tissues or new glue, the teacher would send me into the closet.
And you go steal their fucking lunches, you savage.
I was just taking and opening and stealing the chip.
Say that again, Nathan.
What? He was going there and stealing people's fucking lunches. The savage.
It makes like Joe is like the little kid in the kindergarten car where these are your lunches. You eat other people's lunches. Stop it! And that's Joe.
Spit it out. Well, I did. I would.
And the food comes out of the mouthpiece because we can't picture Joe little because Joe is
Yeah, we need to track down one of these kids that went to school with Joe. Whether it was one of the girls that he was taking their books and flushing them down the toilet to go on a date with them or whatever, or.
Can I say something? It wasn't stealing. See, what happened was I would go in the closet and no, I mean, but
let him explain. Let him explain himself.
Well, like I said, I mean, these kids are probably getting a lot more food, so I'd open either the lunchbox or the paper bag, and they'd have a baggie full of a bunch of Doritos or chips, and I would just take half of them and eat them.
You're stealing their food, Joe.
Well, I mean, nobody knew, and I was only 5 or 6, and so I would take it, and then I'd come back.
A foul is only a foul if the ref blows the whistle. So Joe is only stealing if people catch him. So
was just terrible.
Man, Joe was really quite the evil mastermind as a kid. No wonder he's such an asshole. Now there's a villain. A villain truly believes in what he's doing is not wrong. We have found our new Skeletor. This is what Skeletor will be doing in our series. He's stealing.
He's just eating other people's food.
It's like Corey Feldman, like, there's just people at my parents' house and they're eating all their food. And it's really, we cut it into just Joe sitting in the yard eating the pizza.
Well, nobody was the wiser because it was just a little bit from each little thing I do, so I got extra food to eat. So I had issues.
Holy shit. That's funny.
Right,
oh, what does Donnie have this week? Oh, damn, Doritos. Awesome.
Well, anybody new to this?
Handy snacks. Oh, man, I can put my finger in the cheese.
And you would only do it if it was like Doritos and like a Ziploc, right? You're not like going and like opening sealed stuff.
Well, at that time, not to sound nuts, but at that time, I don't even know if they had little mini bags of Doritos you could open. True. It was just big bag. You put them in the clear bag. So I would just open that little clear bag, take out half, put their little clear bag back in their brown bag.
And these kids are too stupid to notice that half of their chips are gone?
Well, they're kids. They don't know what. Well, they don't know what mom packed for them. They probably figured that that's what mom or dad packed. And I was taking half of the food, but so I wasn't biting their sandwiches or
going home thinking like, why is my mom shortchanging me on my chips every day?
Curtis Ackerman said he robbed from the rich and gave to his stomach.
Yeah, Joe's a really cheap Robin Hood.
Well, if anything, like I said, I was never biting their sandwiches or nothing. I was just getting the stuff that I knew nobody would notice. It's just.
I mean, smart.
Yeah, see? So I was a smart, diabolical little thief for food. So, I mean, that's all. But, hey, anybody that's new to this channel, I just want to make sure to tell you to like, subscribe, share, and ring that bell so you can always be notified when we go live. It was a blast having you in the chat room. It was a great show this week. And until next time, have a powerful day.
I thought you'd be bigger.
Roadhouse.
There you go.
Oh, yeah. Dalton whipping some ass. Terry Funk. I'm on my break.
Damn, Elliot.
Stay on it. Holy shit. That movie's great. I need to watch Roadhouse again.
Damn right, man.
Been a while.
It's a little Jeff Healey on the 7th month. On the 7th day.
So good.
Hell.
Still haven't seen it.
Film.
See you guys next time.
Rest in peace, Patrick Swayze. Also, rest in peace, Alex Trebek. What a shame.
God, yeah, that was unbelievable to hear. I found that out from Wesley Snipes and Ray Allen today.
What a weird combo of people to break the news to you.
But that's how I found out Alex Trebek had left us, was both at the same time. I'm like, holy shit, man. Blade,
wait,
Clutch 3.
Hang on, really quick. We have Jay in the chat. What's the mission statement of this show? To talk Masters of the Universe and random stuff.
And giving you the most honest opinions that you could possibly get from real passionate fans. Sometimes you can agree with us or disagree, but like I said, we can always be welcome to have our own different opinions, and we never, like I said, would absolutely shit. Like if you said, Joe, I don't like what you said, I'm not going to shit back on you like that. We're just giving honest opinions, things we love, things we don't like. Hope people enjoy it. And I know it's not everybody's cup of tea. Some people might get upset with the things we say, but it's just raw and real. Everything you get right here, nothing's going to be edited out. Just getting it right there. But we do appreciate that, Jay. Really do.
No sugar.
Pretty much just to encourage people that there's more to it than just toys. Like, we want people to be excited about He-Man. We will encourage you to want to learn about the characters. If you're a casual fan, and I don't want you just getting your info from shitty DC comics and shitty bios. Like, go check out the cartoons for free on YouTube from both Filmation and YP. Check out the mini comics book, the encyclopedia, these wonderful books that Dark Horse has put out and people we know have worked on, to encourage you to want to know more. To get
from the past? Yeah, exactly. Everything from the past that we do, from the comics to the mini comics, the golden books, the cartoons, things that came out in 2000, early on then, things that are happening now, and things we'd like to see in the future. So you're right. That's what we do. We share it all. Definitely share it all.
And if somebody does something competent, modern, then yeah, we will give them praise. But until they get their head out of their ass, no, I'm not giving anybody credit.
But also, same token, if it does encourage you to go on eBay and start a collection, or even if it does encourage you to go out and go buy some Origins figures because you didn't know that they were out and on the shelf and you just want something, that works too.
Yeah, I would, people, but it's all about supporting He-Man. Like, no, we're not great fans of this, of the Origins line, me mainly, but it's more about like getting you excited about Master of the Universe, because we all know there's not a whole lot going on with it, and it's important to know that there's a shitload of information out there for you to take time for free and learn and research and know that these characters are beloved, that they're portrayed very well in multiple pieces of media, from comics and cartoons instead of live action movie. I don't give a shit what anybody says. And there's just so much more to it than shitty memes of Mia and people portraying He-Man as this bumbling, like, goofy, feminine character on YouTube and shit like that. Not that that's a big deal anymore, but or doing like these shitty commercials where they get He-Man and Skeletor dancing to Dirty Dancing. What the hell, man? Just making fun of He-Man, and I got no use for those people who greenlight that kind of shit. You're lower than shit to me. You're dog shit. Like my cousin, you're dog shit.
But
it's about taking this stuff seriously. It's about kick-ass heroes and villains, barbarians, battle axes, beautiful women, awesome creatures, dragons, and characters like Webstor and Ninjor and heroes like Fisto and Clampchamp, kicking ass all over the place, man. There's more to it than just He-Man and Skeletor and shitty social media memes from people who don't know what the hell they're even sharing it about, but because it's cute and funny and everybody else is doing it because they ain't got a damn brain in their head.
And we'll never bullshit you, so no sugarcoating here.
No, you'll get the truth. You'll get the truth here. You may not like it, but at least we're not bullshitting you.
And hopefully next week we will have James and Daniel on for the big five-person show spectacular. And really quick, links down below, because Tyler and I didn't plan this out, but we're wearing some Joe T-shirts.
Oh, yeah. I just
redrawn, too.
So click that link down below and go support Joe and buy some of his shirts.
Which Joe is supposed to have loaded up some new images, which has yet to happen.
See what happened was... see you next time. No. I'll get some up, but I'll see you guys later.